You've imagined it. Be honest. The moment they see you, the version of you that's thriving, glowing, completely unbothered, and the look on their face when they realize what they lost, you've scripted it. You've cast it. You know exactly what you're wearing. Every woman has had that fantasy. It's not shameful. It's human. But I need to tell you something about that fantasy, and it might sting a little. The moment you want them to see it, they still have you. Because revenge requires an audience. It requires them. It requires that they're watching, that they care, that your glow-up registers on their face, which means your entire transformation is still being built as a response to someone else. You're not free. You're just performing freedom in their direction and quietly hoping they clap. That's the trap almost no one sees. Revenge feels like power. It's actually the last leash. There's another way, and it's the one nobody talks about because it's not dramatic and it doesn't make a good montage. It's called becoming untouchable. And it's not about them seeing anything at all. It's about them losing access to you entirely, not because you blocked them, because you outgrew the version of you that they knew how to reach. So today I want to talk about the actual psychology of becoming untouchable, why the most iconic act of revenge in modern history wasn't revenge at all, and how you become the kind of woman that nothing and no one can get a hand on again. Let's go. Welcome to Intemporelle. I'm Clara. Quick thing, I wrote a free letter called the Becoming Her Letter, and it belongs right next to this conversation. Beautiful PDF. You get it the second you sign up at the link below. Go grab it after. It's free. Okay, let's talk about the leash. Here's the reframe, and I want you to sit with it because it's uncomfortable and it's true. Every revenge fantasy is a form of loyalty. Think about what's actually happening in your mind when you imagine that moment. You're thinking about them. You're building a version of yourself calibrated to their reaction. You're measuring your progress by an imagined expression on someone else's face. Which means, functionally, they are still the main character of your life. They're just playing the villain now instead of the love interest. That's the part nobody says. Hate isn't the opposite of love. They're the same currency. Both of them keep the person installed in your head, rent-free, running your decisions from a distance. The woman planning her revenge and the woman waiting by the phone are doing the exact same thing, organizing their inner life around someone who isn't in the room. And here's how you know you're still on the leash. If they came back tomorrow and said the thing you've been waiting to hear, would it land? Would it move something? Would part of you feel finally? Then they still have you. Not because you're weak, because you never actually left. You just changed the direction you were pulling. Untouchable is something else entirely. Untouchable means there's nothing left in you for them to grab. Not coldness. Coldness is effort. Coldness is still a reaction. I mean the real thing. Genuine indifference that arrived quietly, without you deciding it because you were busy becoming someone whose life simply doesn't have a slot for them anymore. You'll know it happened when you notice you haven't thought about it in weeks. That's it. That's the whole ceremony. No confrontation, no moment. Just the sudden, unremarkable realization that they stopped being a character in your story and you don't even remember when. Now I want to give you the most misunderstood moment of feminine power in modern history. June 1994, London. Princess Diana steps out of a car at the Serpentine Gallery in a short black off-the-shoulder dress. One she'd been told was too daring, too bare, too much for a royal. That same night, on national television, Charles was confessing his affair to the entire country. The next morning, the papers gave it a name that stuck forever. The revenge dress. And for 30 years, the world has told that story the same way. The night Diana got even. The night she won. The single most devastating act of revenge a woman has ever pulled off in public. Except, that's not what happened. And when you understand what actually happened, it changes everything. That dress was not revenge. That dress was a byproduct. Because the transformation had already happened. Quietly. In the years before that night. In the therapy nobody photographed. In the slow, unglamorous reconstruction of a woman who had been systematically dismantled and had to rebuild an entire self from the ground up while the whole world watched and had opinions about it. There was no montage of Diana becoming untouchable. There was just a woman doing invisible work for years with no applause and no evidence it was working. By the time she stepped out of that car, she was already untouchable. The dress didn't make her anything. It was simply the first night the rest of us could see it. And here's the detail that proves it. The thing that makes this the most elegant power move of the century. She didn't do it at him. She went to a gala, she smiled, she was gracious, warm, luminous. She never mentioned him, she never made a statement, she never claimed the narrative. She just showed up as herself and let the world do the rest. That's the difference. Revenge announces itself. Untouchable just walks in. Revenge is a woman saying, look at what you lost. Untouchable is a woman who genuinely forgot she was supposed to be performing anything at all and devastated everyone precisely because of it. You cannot plan a revenge dress. That's the whole secret. It's not a moment you engineer, it's something that eventually happens to you as the natural consequence of work you did when nobody was clapping. You don't chase the moment, you do the private work. and the moment comes and finds you. So let's define it properly, because untouchable gets thrown around and almost nobody means the real thing. Untouchable is not being cold, it's not being unreachable, it's not building walls so high nothing gets in. That's just a woman in a fortress, and a fortress is proof that something out there still scares her. Untouchable is structural. It means the hooks are gone. Think about how someone reaches you emotionally. There has to be a hook, a place in you where their opinion, their approval, their attention, their return can catch and pull. If someone's words can ruin your week, they have a hook in you. If someone's silence can make you refresh your phone, they have a hook. If someone's success can make you feel behind, hook. If the thought of them not caring anymore makes something in you panic, that's the biggest hook of all. Untouchable means those places closed, not because you armored over them, because you finally built a self so complete, so genuinely full, that there's no soft, hungry waiting spot for anyone to grab onto anymore. And here's what's beautiful about that. The untouchable woman is often the warmest woman in the room. She's not defended, she's not guarded, she doesn't need to be, because nothing anyone says can rearrange her. She can be generous, open, kind, present, precisely because she's not at risk. Being unbothered isn't a personality, it's the natural byproduct of not needing anything from the person in front of you. That's the difference between the woman who acts unbothered and the woman who genuinely is. One is performing for an audience of one, the other forgot there was an audience. I'm curious, and I'd love an honest answer here. Has there ever been a moment where you realized you'd stopped caring about something or someone that used to run your whole life, and you couldn't even pinpoint when it happened? Tell me in the comments. Those moments are my favorite thing in the world, and stay with me because the last part is how you actually get there. Here's the mechanic, and it's almost disappointingly unglamorous, which is exactly why it works. You become untouchable through subtraction in private with no announcement. Subtraction first. Every failed transformation looks the same, a list of things to add. New routine, new habits, new rituals, new everything, piled on top of a self-image that hasn't moved an inch, and it collapses every time because you built a new house on the old foundation. The real question isn't who do I need to become, it's what would she not do? She wouldn't answer that text at midnight, she wouldn't check that profile, she wouldn't accept that tone, she wouldn't explain herself to someone who already decided not to understand her, she wouldn't keep a seat at the table for someone who left. That's it. That's the work, not adding her habits, dropping the old woman's decisions one at a time where nobody can see you doing it, because every time you decline a decision the old you would have made, you cast a vote for the new one, and she isn't built in a montage. She's built in those votes. Now, in private. And this part is psychological, not aesthetic. The moment you announce a transformation, your brain takes the social reward as though you'd already done it. You get the nods, the good for you, the reflection of yourself as someone who's changing, and the tension that would have driven the actual work quietly discharges. You spent it on the telling. There's a worse version of it too. When you announce, you invite an audience, and that audience knew the old you. Every person you told becomes an anchor holding you in the identity they already have of you. They'll notice when you slip, they'll joke about who you used to be. Some of them will be quietly uncomfortable when you actually change because your transformation says something about their own stillness. So don't tell anyone, don't post it, don't declare it, just start being her in the smallest ways and let the world figure it out on its own schedule. And they will. That's the part I love. Nobody notices for weeks, nobody notices for months. And then one day someone looks at you a little too long and says, "You seem different." And you don't explain, you don't tell them how hard it was, you just smile. And this exact thing is what the Intemporelle Vault was built for. Not motivation, structure for the invisible part. It's 6 filmed modules that take you through the actual, private, unglamorous work of becoming her. The self-image, the presence, the decisions, the subtraction, with something to hold you steady when there's no evidence yet and nobody's clapping. Dozens and dozens of women are inside doing that work right now. There's a short film on the Vault page. A few minutes, my voice, same as this, just go press play. If this video is landing for you, I think you'll know within 30 seconds. It's linked below. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. I'm somewhere in the middle of my own version of this, and it is not clean. It doesn't look like the videos. Some weeks I hold everything together, and some weeks it's a mess, and I'm starting again on a random Wednesday because I refuse to wait for Monday like that means something. And I've stopped calling that failure, because the mess is the process. Nobody's becoming is a straight line. It's a scribble that, given enough time, points in a direction. The only thing that has ever mattered is that you come back. Not that you never fall off, that you return. The women who become untouchable aren't the ones who never broke the streak. They're the ones who kept returning to her, over and over, without letting the falling off mean something about who they are. And I'll say this, and you can take it or leave it. I don't think I could do any of this on my own strength. I really don't. Somewhere in the middle of every rebuild, I've had to hand it over to God, because white-knuckling my way into becoming someone new has never once worked for me. Grace is the only reason any of it holds. If that lands for you, you'll know. If it doesn't, take everything else and leave that. But please stop waiting to feel ready. She isn't waiting for you to feel anything. She's just waiting for you to come back on Wednesday. So you don't need revenge. Revenge keeps them in the room. It keeps them holding the pen. It makes your entire becoming a message addressed to someone who is never worth the postage. Untouchable is quieter than that and infinitely more powerful. It's built in private, by subtraction, with no announcement and no audience. And it doesn't end with a moment where they finally see. It ends with something much better. The day you realize you genuinely stopped needing them to. Diana didn't wear that dress at him. She wore it because she had already become someone else years earlier in a room nobody photographed. Go be her, quietly, and let them find out on their own. Tell me in the comments what you're quietly dropping this week. Not adding, dropping. Those are my favorite ones to read, and I read every single one. And if this is the kind of thing you want more of, I write a letter every week for the Intemporelle Substack, and now I narrate them myself so you can read them or just listen like a conversation. It's where I go deeper than I can here, and it's where the quieter, more personal things live. Thousands of women are already in that room. If it sounds like yours, it's linked below. Subscribe if you're not here yet, and I'll see you in the next one.